Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Geelong Zone. Now, you're figuring, what has Nathan McSweeney got to do with the Geelong Zone or any kind of football or anything remotely due to this channel? Well, the question is pretty simple. We have to, because to keep the channel relevant, to keep the channel going, sometimes you have to produce other content. Which is what I'm doing now. People that know me, people that know me really well, know that cricket is my first love. AFL is my second love, but cricket has always been my first love. The SA Redbacks have always been my first love. I get asked this quite frequently. What would you rather? Would you rather SA Redbacks winning a title, a Shield title, or Geelong winning a premiership? I will take the title all day long, the Sheffield Shield title all day long. Trust me, when you waited 30 years for a state title, you have to take that. And last year we won the state title. Sorry, this year, early this year we won the state title. We won the Sheffield Shield. So it has always been my number one passion, cricket. I'll get into this a little bit before we get onto my topic. I've always been involved with cricket since I was about 4 years old. Picking up a bat, hitting it, growing up watching the golden generation of cricket. Always wanted to be a batsman like Ricky Ponting. I actually never wanted to be anyone else, which is quite ironic where I'm going to go with this. I always wanted to be Ricky Ponting. I wanted to play the amazing pull shots, the amazing cover drives. Fate decided something else for me, that I was awful at batting, but I was actually not too bad at bowling. Growing up, I took a lot of, not to pump myself up, but I took a lot of wickets, juniors, seniors. And when I was 17, 18, I played state Premier League cricket. I tried out, what was the team for? It was for Woodville. Not this team. I actually tried for Woodville. And straight away, they put me into the reserves. I was there for a year. I switched to Adelaide Uni, and I was with them for 10 amazing years through Div 1, not always as a bowler. Up till 3-4 years ago, I was a keeper. I've now left. I've retired. I'm now into coaching. But I was playing grade 1. I played a couple of reserve games for the state team, so state reserve games. Nothing came of that. I had some interesting feedback from state selectors, state coaches, which really hurt my career because I did not handle it very well. I got told I was too slow to play state cricket. I was a bowler that was bowling around 120, 125, so that is absolutely nothing. And 10 years ago, it was an era where we were looking for fast bowlers. Someone like Brett Lee that can bowl 145, 150 plus on a regular basis. I was far from that. I was a seam bowler, a bit like a Scott Boland. I relied on pitches to help me out. I did experiment with swing. I at least wanted to swing it out my hand as something very basic. But I did not. I was not a fast bowler by any means of the stretch. I did take a lot of wickets, mind you, but as I said, it depends on the pitch. So I took a lot of wickets. Took over 100 wickets for my state team over the years. I had a lot of current players that at that time were playing for South Australia have said to me, you should have played state cricket. You should have at least played a couple of games of state cricket. But that's not for me just to decide. When I got told I was not going to play state cricket, I was too slow. That really did shatter me. I actually quit sport for a couple of years. And personal issues happened. Not really comfortable in saying what really did happen. I didn't turn to drugs or alcohol or anything like that, so don't be alarmed. But I was pretty depressed. I just didn't want to hear from anybody. I didn't want to watch cricket. I didn't want to know cricket. I was pretty devastated when I got told I was never going to play for my state. But then I got back into it, not as a bowler. I stopped bowling. I came back as a keeper, pretty decent keeper. I never reached first grade as a keeper, but I did reserves, which is pretty remarkable achievement if you want to count that. First grade as a bowler, but second grade as a keeper alone. But anyway, I know a lot of state players growing up. I currently have good friendships with a state player in Jake Retherald, who's currently playing for Tasmania, trying to get into the Australia team. I know Wes Agar, who's also a Redbacks player. I've played with Jake Lehman. I've played with Kyrgyzstan in the back end of his career. So I know most of the Redbacks players. I don't know the current gen because I wasn't playing Prem cricket at the time. But when they wouldn't be playing for their state, they'd be playing for Prem cricket. And I'd be playing against them and sometimes for them. So I wanted to share that information because I give Jake Retherald a lot of shit, to be honest, at state games. And people say, why are you attacking a state cricketer? Well, like, what gives you the right? He's one of my best mates. I have every right to attack Jake Retherald, especially when he stinks up the joint. Especially against me, he wasn't looking like a Test batsman when I got him in the net. That's for sure. But anyway, moving on. As I said, this has nothing to do with Geelong or AFL, but to keep the channel going, to keep the viewership up, we have to produce something. So Nathan McSweeney, what has happened to Nathan McSweeney? I don't know Nathan McSweeney. I know he's the state captain. He plays for, I believe, West Torrens in the Premier League. I don't play Premier League anymore, so I don't know half of these current Redbacks players. So what has happened to him? A very good batsman. He got picked for the Ashes as an opener. He was never an opener. He never played as an opener. He was originally a number 3 and number 4. But he made one score as an opener, I believe, in an against India A game back in November. He got picked, and it's been an absolute disaster for Nathan McSweeney ever since. And I want to put this as a disclaimer. This is no way whatsoever of putting him down. I think how he's been treated by Cricket Australia is an absolute disgrace. He should have never been picked as an opener, ever. He should have been slotted in when Steve Smith retired or when Steve Smith was not playing as a number 3 or number 4. So I want to put that out there, not slandering him by any means necessary. I've met him a couple of times, so I don't know him personally. From my meetings with him, he's a good player. He's a very good person. All right. So what has happened to McSweeney? We've got some stats here. I'm gonna bring up. So since the Ashes, he's been an absolute train wreck for the South Australian Redbacks. We've got some stats here. Okay. So since the Ashes, since the Ashes, what am I talking about? What the hell am I talking about? Since the Indian series, since the Ashes, since India. Okay, there we go. Since the Ashes, since the bloody Ashes. Okay, so since India, so when he got dropped, these are his stats. Now, when he was playing for India, he did terrible, to be honest, as an opener. He got fed to the Wolves with Jasper Bumrah. He made one decent score, I think, of 39, and then the rest was just awful. So this is since India. So he got dropped. He got played. So SS means the Sheffield Shield. So he made 16 his first innings back. That's pretty good. Then 16, 41, 27 at Sheffield Shield. And then the Sheffield Shield final, SSF against Queensland, 0 and 14. Now, these are first-class tour matches. He didn't bat twice in these matches. 94, which is pretty good. This was against Sri Lanka. 12, 1, 74, and 85. He did not bat twice in any of these matches. And then he's returned to Sheffield Shield and made 0 and 6. So since returning back to Sheffield Shield, he's only made one score over 50. Now, let's ignore the first-class tour matches. So those are against India A, Sri Lanka A. So regarding Sri Lanka A, they are players that are in their state team. They're coming up. They're not at that level yet. So the opposition wasn't as great. The Sheffield Shield is miles better than the Sri Lanka Super League, with all due respect. The Sheffield Shield is arguably the number one domestic format in world cricket. England are going to say the English county. Be the judge. Once upon a time, India would say the Ranji Trophy. The Ranji Trophy is a very good tournament for red ball cricket. But since the Sheffield Shield, only one score above 50, and then he's returned this year. I'm not counting white ball cricket. I'm not counting white ball scores. He was never really he's an okay white ball player, but he didn't get picked for his white ball. He got picked for his red ball. So I'm ignoring white ball cricket, and that's fallen off as well, by the way. All right. So I got this little marker here. So since India scores a 60, so he bounced back really well. He got dropped and he made a 60. But it's gone worse and worse. So 41, 27, 0, 14. Very good in the tour matches where the quality isn't as great. The 74 and 85 against India A, which was recently, a few weeks ago actually, in India. That's pretty good. That's pretty good in foreign conditions. He's returned back to the Sheffield Shield. He has made 0 and 6. And I said, I'm not going to count this, but in the white ball just just yesterday, he didn't do well in that either. So my question, and I'm going to answer my own question here, is, has the Ashes, since being dropped from the Ashes, has it had an effect on his batting? The answer is yes. Well, he's got every Sheffield Shield game, he's gotten worse and worse. The proof is right there. Right, he's been good in tour matches where the quality is not so good. The 74 and 85 against India, that's pretty good. That's decent. That was in India. Foreign conditions, same contest, made 100 in that same series. That's pretty good. I'll give him that. But Sheffield Shield, he's been an absolute train wreck. One innings over 50. His average 2 years ago used to be in the mid-40s. It used to be 43, 44. It is now 35. He's lost 10% in one season. Now, let's go to Marnus Labuschagne. Marnus Labuschagne, when he started his test career, averaged 60. The last 30 innings, Marnus Labuschagne has averaged less than 30. That's half, and he's been dropped. He's been dropped for it. So that's a huge decline. So we're saying this, 10%. No, it might not be much, but that's a huge loss for a batsman of his quality. Average of 45 to 35 is a lot. That's a big deal. When you average 45 in first-class cricket, no, that's a great first-class career. That's very good. Well, not very good. That's great. I'd take 20 as a batsman. But 45 is very good. Now, his last one since being dropped, he's gone to 35, mainly because of these scores of 16, 0, 14, 0 and 6. Mainly because of that. It's a shame. It's really a shame. And like I mentioned with Labuschagne, first 30 matches, Labuschagne averaged 60. The next 30, he's averaging under 30. So in 30 matches, he's lost half of his average. McSweeney, in 6 matches, has lost 10%. That is a huge fall. That is ridiculous. He's gone from, statistically, a great Sheffield Shield player to mediocre. 35 is mediocre. That's nothing to be bragged about. There are tons of cricketers that average 35 over their career in Sheffield Shield. That is nothing to brag about. Mind you, I'll take 20. I'll take 20 in anywhere, and I'd probably brag about it. But talking about Sheffield Shield, nothing to brag about. So the decline is there for Nathan McSweeney. Some players don't handle it well. There's been a lot of players that have played 2-3 test matches, never been seen again. I feel that same way for Nathan. I don't think we'll ever see him play for Cricket Australia ever again, because he's not making runs at Sheffield Shield level. Yes, he's making runs at tour level, tour matches, but at the end of the day, selectors don't care about that. They want them performing in Sheffield Shield week in, week out. And since the Ashes, one score over 50 is not going to get you back into this team anytime soon. So when Steve Smith does retire, hypothetically, if he retires after the Ashes, if they win the Ashes and he wants to retire, McSweeney is nowhere near that team. Nowhere near, unless he starts to turn those ducks and sixes into big hundreds, he's nowhere near Jake Lehmann. Jake Lehmann's more of a chance to play for Australia than Nathan McSweeney. I know Jake Lehmann can be a little bit cheeky. Got him out a couple of times in my career. He's made 400 hundreds against uni, 0 hundreds when I've been in the bowling attack. Make what you want of that. Mind you, the couple that I have that he hasn't made, I've been injured, but I've got him out a couple of times. But anyway, no heat, no stage on Jake. Well, actually, it is a stage on Jake. Jake Lehmann. But Jake Lehmann's more of a chance to play number 4 than Nathan McSweeney, because Jake Lehmann's making runs. He's making hundreds. His form in the last 12 months compared to Nathan McSweeney has gone up, while Nathan McSweeney has gone down. Rock bottom. Terrible. Some players don't like opening. Labuschagne opened. He didn't like it. Steve Smith opened. He didn't like it. His stats were horrible. He made that 190 against West Indies at the Gabba, where they won that test match. Didn't make anything other than that. Some players don't like the new ball. Now, I get where people say, look, you have to deal with the new ball. Were you just an old ball specialist? Like, yeah, of course you have to deal with the new ball. But I'm saying some players do not like it. Some players shy from it. Don't think Nathan McSweeney ever wanted to open. He did not want to open in that series against India. But it's Australia. You have to. Australia, cool. Of course you want to play. If the Redback said to me, you know what, we don't want you as a keeper. We don't want you as a bowler. We want you as an opening batsman. Against New South Wales with Stark bowling 140. Nathan on. Of course you're going to say yes. Of course you're going to say yes. Though I don't feel comfortable facing Mitchell Stark. I do face balls of 140, 150 in the nets, but a bowling machine is completely different than Mitchell Stark trying to kill you with bouncers. I would not be that thrilled about it, but of course you say yes. You have to. But it's completely ruined his career. It's ruined his career. He can't buy a run in the Sheffield Shield. As a passionate Redbacks fan, now I said this earlier, would you take a Sheffield Shield title or a Geelong Premiership? Take a Sheffield Shield title. I waited 30 years for a Sheffield Shield bloody title. I was 3 years old when we last won it. And then we won it this year. Hallelujah. It looks like we're going to wait another bloody 30 years before we win another one. That's not acceptable either. But that's just the way it is. So does he get dropped? He's also the captain. It's tough. Imagine playing cricket, the first test of a series, and then you've been dropped to the State Premier League, which is not a bad thing. The State Premier League is fine. But that's a long drop. It's a big, big drop. Feel for him. I really do. Hope he can get it together. Signs don't look good. Don't think he'll ever play for Australia ever again. But anyway, that is my video. As I said, this has nothing to do with the Geelong Zone, but we have to push content. We have to keep this channel relevant. If we have to talk about cricket, so be it. I'll have a video coming. I have a video of my good friend Mel. I'm hesitant to release that. I've made it. I've actually made it already. It is a bit emotional. So I'm finding the right time to release it, because there are other people involved that I don't really want to name, but I have to name. And I'm just finding the right time for that. So it's still in the library. I've made it. I wasn't a crying mess compared to concept scripts I've made. Like I did 2 of these before I made the proper one, just to release the tears. So I wasn't a crying mess. But it's a very tricky, delicate situation. I'm not comfortable releasing that video, but I think it has to be done. Because Mel was one of my good friends. Her name, if you're not wondering, her username on Twitter was Melcats. I shared a very close bond with her. So I'm finding the right time to release that. But we will still release other things. If it has to be cricket content, so be it. I don't want this to become a cricket show channel, with all due respect, but we will try to push content as we can to keep the channel going. And if I have to push some cricket videos to get to the preseason, so be it. It has to be done. But hopefully I can talk about trades. At the end of the trade period, I can talk about trades. I can get some guests on. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I do like it when people view my stuff. Like I said, I don't really care if I get 1 view or 100 views or 1,000,000 views. It doesn't really matter. But I just like talking about this. I just like doing this. There's things where I can improve on. Camera quality, equipment, actually looking into the mic when I'm speaking and not doing a Ange Postecoglou type thing. And looking down on the ground while I'm speaking. So that I can always improve on. I can always improve. Factual Opinion says, thanks, coach. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, brother. So anyway, stay tuned. This won't be a cricket show, but if we have to push out videos to keep the channel relevant, so be it. I'm on a basic StreamYard subscription, so the videos do get deleted over time anyway. So it's no big deal. So if this does turn into a cricket thing, the videos will be deleted anyway. So it's all right. It's all good. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. All you have to do is subscribe. You don't even have to watch my show. I don't really care. If you just want to subscribe to it and just watch bits and pieces, it's all good. It's fine. I've only just started this a few months ago. I've got 26 subscribers. I would have been happy with 1. So thank you so much to all those 26. I really do appreciate it. And I have to do a better job of actually looking in the camera while I'm speaking. So thank you so much. And we will see you again shortly. Goodbye.